want to talk today about machine learning kit for mobile developers. Everybody here is a developer? Something else? Product management? Data scientist? Cool, I can talk about machine learning now. Okay, so first of all, maybe you're checking, who is this girl? Did she has this kind of accent so weird, right? So I came from a land super far away, the other side of the world. I'm from Argentina, beautiful country too, like Poland. Really excited to be here. I'm a digital nomad. Basically, I work and travel at the same time. I'm one of the organizers of Google Cloud London, Firebase developer expert, and I'm one of the founders of Remote Labs. It's a software agency that tries to promote diversity and remote working. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions regarding this later. So let's start about talking about machine learning. What's going on right now? Everybody's talking about machine learning. It's super hot topic. I'm not a data scientist, of course. I'm a developer. That's my background. In fact, most of my career, I've been working with JavaScript. Yeah, the dark side. So, and then a few things, especially during the last 2-3 years, everybody's talking about AI and machine learning. So what's the difference between talking about machine learning now? Yeah. What is the difference between talking about AI now than before? Before, when I was even in college, I was studying AI, but AI wasn't like that hot topic. Basically, right now we have more resources. We have more accuracy, and then right now, as we are doing today, we can play with machine learning without being data scientists. So we're talking about machine learning. We have different types. So these, for example, are kind of silly games that we are playing right now. You can do image recognition and whatever. But I'm not talking about this kind of stuff like Facebook, which famous are you? This is supposed to be me. And I look like Taylor Swift. I don't think so, right? So, but which are the uses that we can already do with machine learning as a mobile developers, or even like developers? Well, here we have two different phases. The first one is the drummer of Red Hot Chili Peppers. The other one is an actor. I forgot his name. So basically, if we want to make a difference between these two, we need to do some models and train our data, because basically they look really similar. There is something in machine learning that is called accuracy and the level of errors. And actually, right now, comparing with 2011, we can do something like distinguish there is a cheetah with just 3% of error. And humans can distinguish a cheetah with 5%. So it means like right now, all this information that we have, it allows us to do more things that are accurate. So let's try to think about this, right? In this case, especially for a person like me that doesn't have problems, side problems, especially from far away. Hey guys that are far away. When you want to do specific stuff, like in this case, get ready and get accuracy about which one is a croissant, which one is a pug, you have to provide all this information to your model. In this case, what we're going to do with machine learning. So for the computer, this is not the same image as this one, even though for us it looks same. Here is cut. Here we have the same croissant, but in a different way. So we have to provide all this information to have a level of accuracy. So, and here we got like, when I'm trying to sound smart, deep neural network. Basically, what you need to have is to get if it's a dog or a croissant. You're going to have certain kinds of inputs. In this case, it's going to be image. And then the input layers, they're going to be just algorithms that are going to distinguish. And then at the end, you're going to have an output. And then you're going to say, OK, is this a croissant or is it a pug? And then we have, as mobile developers, we have been already using this before. It's not something new. In my case, as I mentioned, I work a lot with JavaScript, the dark side. And I've been already using machine learning without even notice that, like image recognition, another APIs, in this case, text recognition. And also, as mobile developers, you will probably have been used some of these tools. Anybody here use image recognition, text recognition? OK, how do you use it? Not a problem. There's a cup for you. OK, cool. Applause for this guy. Yeah, put it on. OK, so we still have these tools. Even if you're not a mobile developer, if you use Google Cloud products, like in my case, I use a lot of Google Cloud Vision API, it's super useful. And I don't even know like, how to recreate a model and being a proper data science. So if we continue with this slide, and we go back. OK, something's going on with this slide. So why machine learning is really hard? Why every time that we talk about machine learning, everybody's like, oh, wow, this girl is so smart. No, sometimes not. But there are a few things that we need to keep in mind to properly use machine learning. First of all, if we're going to use machine learning for our apps, the first thing that we need to have is get sufficient data. I mean, in the case of the pug or croissants, we have to take, I don't know, thousands of pictures of pug, croissant, different poses of our dog. I have a pug, by the way. And train that information, right? So first of all, talking about image. But what about talking about language? OK? I can do a dictionary and do, I don't know, like check how this text it is, if it's positive, sentimental, or negative. I can do that. But how many words do we have in English? What if I want to translate it into Polish or even Spanish? I have to do a lot of work regarding that. Maybe work with somebody, with a translator, right? So for me, also work a lot with a product. It's going to be expensive. So especially when we try to have our startup or something like that, we need to have some experiments and try to don't waste a lot of money. That's the first one. We need to have data. Second one, the development process. This is in the case of when we are developers, actually, especially when you're working on mobile. In terms of resources, it's going to have a lot of things regarding battery, GPU, and sometimes it's super expensive. And the third one, of course, if we're going to have, let's go back to the example of the pug and croissant, we have to do a lot of testing, because it's not only my point of view, especially mine, because I don't see really well. I need glasses, right? So I think like we need different kinds of testing in different kinds of environments. So that was our main problem to working with machine learning. And if you need to have your own model, it's even worse, OK? What do I mean to have your own model? Let's say like I want to use one of the APIs of Google to check if I have a rose or a sunflower. That is easy. Google can actually check that, or even a cat or a dog. Most of the time, it's easy. But let's say that I want to check the different kinds of roses. I have to train my own model to check the different kinds of roses. And that, yes, of course, requires a little bit of knowledge about what you're doing. So then we have this machine learning kit. Machine learning kit is something new that I don't know if you check the news regarding the Google I/O. It was approaching Google I/O, and the idea of this is to bring machine learning, especially AI, to everybody. So this thing about bring AI to everybody is to have more people using these tools. Of course, if we use Google Cloud Images, we already have the resources. We don't have to take all the pictures of all the breeds of the different dogs. We already have it. Same thing with language. We don't have to hire a translator to check words in Polish, Spanish, or English. Basically, we can use Google resources because Google is our friend, right? I believe so. And let's see which kind of things we can do and how actually we can use these machine learning. No, guys, don't leave. No cups for you. So basically, we have different kinds of SDK. First one, we're going to talk a little bit about that later, is TensorFlow Lite. Have you ever used TensorFlow here? Here? OK, great. So we're going to talk about what is the difference about using TensorFlow Lite and TensorFlow. And then besides this, we have different kinds of hardware, like in the case of Android, Neural Network API, and iOS Metal. And in my case, I use more Android. So in these terms, these just allow us to save a lot of resources regarding latency, battery, and everything. And then we have TensorFlow Lite, as I mentioned before. It's just a library based in TensorFlow that basically it's going to have less resources than the normal TensorFlow. And when we're going to use TensorFlow Lite, when we need to create our own custom models. In the case of identify if it's a pug or a croissant. Is it hard? No. In my case, I didn't know so much about creating your own model, but you can play around a little bit, and actually you can use the resources about TensorFlow and create that in your app. So besides this, I want to share with you these kind of things that we already have and we can already use. If you use products with Google Cloud, and actually you have already these APIs. These APIs is try to use machine learning without being a data scientist and do cool stuff, right? In my case, I use a lot of Google Cloud Vision API. So basically, I can use the different categories of Google Cloud Vision, check, for example, which kind of image I have, and do things with that. If you need something that is deeper, and you have to create your own model, you have to go to TensorFlow. So basically, even if you're not from the mobile world, or if yes, it's really similar to use the Google Cloud Vision API and the other Google Cloud products. So going back to Machine Learning Kit, I don't know how many of you are just iOS developers here? Great. Well, somebody's like, yes, iOS. OK. Or Android? Cool. So the cool thing about this is you can use it in cross-platform, both platforms. And it's super cool. In my case, well, I have to check the American companies and everything. They have a lot of money, so I need to build stuff with iOS. And same thing with Android, right? So this is related with Firebase, another nice product that I'm going to talk about. And you can find it in the dashboard in Firebase. So you can use it with iOS and Android. We're going to see how. And the other thing is that you can use and create your own custom model. So besides using these base APIs, like Google Cloud Vision API, you can still create your own models and being like a data scientist. There's a difference. You can use on-device and Google Cloud AI interface. If you use on-device, you're going to have offline support, and it's free. Cool. We like the word free, right? But if you use on cloud, it's going to be more accurate. How? Because Google Cloud, of course, it has already all the images, right? And everything that we need. So every time, let's say, we're going to have an example later about how basically we can bring some tags and categories about recognizing an image. So let's see. And yeah, here's the magic. How many of you already use Firebase? Okay, cool. I like those hands. Um, yeah, so in my case, well, if you don't know anything about Firebase and you're a developer, I really suggest to take a look. Basically, Firebase is a platform by Google that allows you to use different features. It's cross-platform. Basically, you can use it web, and Android, and iOS. I use most of the time Android and web, not iOS that much. And Machine Learning Kit is with the Firebase platform. So besides take Machine Learning Kit in the platform, you can combine different functions. Let's check how. If you already know something about Firebase, as I mentioned before, it's a really cool platform. But the cool thing here is that I can combine these machine learning features with the Firebase features, like cloud functions and so on. Storage. OK, something is going on. OK, so if you go to the machine learning kit, this is how it looks into the Firebase platform. OK, basically, we have different kinds of features that we can already use, like image labeling, landmark recognition. I'm going to talk more about image labeling. And then you can use face detections and some other features. But let's see a little bit about how you can use Machine Learning Kit. The first one, you have text recognition, and it's available offline. The other four, too, this one is not available, landmark is not available offline. And in my case, again, most of the time I'm playing around image labeling. So you can use all of these features with Machine Learning Kit. And these are just APIs that are ready to use. Basically, you can already use the categories that are going to bring into your app and then do cool stuff with Firebase. So how we can start creating cool stuff? Basically, again, everything is about Firebase Machine Learning Kit. So it's provided with the Cloud Vision API, for example, all the things that are related with Google Cloud, as I mentioned before. And of course, you can use it just TensorFlow Lite if you want, or also with TensorFlow Lite. And then the Neural Network API. So how does it work? And how I can combine that with Firebase? Again, remember the super drawing about deep neural network and everything? It's kind of similar, but we don't have to create anything. We don't have to create or provide a model, in this case for the APIs. We're going to have an input. It can be an image, right? Then we're going to have the Machine Learning Kit API that is going to do the work for us. And then we're going to have an output. So basically, it will say, OK, this image is dog, cat, whatever. So, and then what if I'm like a super rock star and I want to go deeper with image recognition, right? I want to do something else that not just make a difference between cat, dogs, or whatever. One of the use cases that we are having now, we're working with a client that is trying to make pictures of different mushrooms to cook. And in this case, we are trying to, first of all, check what we already have, right, in terms of different mushrooms. And then later, what is the difference between this one and the other one? So for that one, Google is not going to help us with the model that they already have. We need to create our own custom model. So in this case, it allows us to, first of all, create our own model. Second, we can mix that with the Firebase feature of A/B testing. And this is one of the main features, because have you ever used A/B testing here? I know. How do you use it? How do you use it? Yeah. Exactly. Cool. Applause and a cup. I forgot the other ones. Sorry. Then later, there are cups here. So, yeah, great. And what if we need to combine that with machine learning? Like doing some experiments, like is this a dog, or is it a cat, or is it a pug, or is it a croissant? Before we have to deploy the same model twice, or doing different kind of things. With this, we can do two different models and just use A/B testing. And then, yeah, what I was mentioned is try to combine the features that you already have with Firebase. If you already use Firebase, put some machine learning into that. It's not that hard, believe me. In this case, you can do US user cases, and then after that, you can actually check which is the best model for you in terms of creating your own custom model. Nothing happened. There's a baby crying. OK, yeah. And then let's check an image and see what is the difference. Image labeling is one of the features of a machine learning kit, and one of the things that I like to play around most. So we have two different ones, as I mentioned before. One is on-device. The other one is with cloud. On-device is free, right? And it can provide around 400 labels. The labels are the categories that can provide with an image. And yeah, no network required, whatever. And then if we go to the cloud, here is the most powerful stuff. Of course, it's not free, at least at the moment. But here we have the difference. We have more than 10,000 levels. So if we provide an image, most of the time, we're going to have more accurate tags if we use on the cloud. So that's why it depends on which kind of things we're going to build, right? It can be really useful anyway to have just 400 and play around and don't pay. It's free. So how we're going to use, actually, Firebase? First of all, of course, we need to connect our app with Firebase. Second, super simple, we can just import same thing in iOS, same thing in Android. In this case, Firebase leveling, OK? And in my case, even if you are not using machine learning kit, if you are playing around with something related with web, you can use Firebase admin SDK and import the Node.js library that is related with Google Cloud image recognition. So basically, this is the version for mobile. So if you're going to use it on device, it's super simple. You just need to create, import first of all the library, right? And then it's ready to use. If we use it on the cloud, the highlighted words are the ones that are just going to change. But it's really simple. And then after that, you can start playing around with the code. With iOS, I think it's kind of similar. But it's just import the functions and then start to use the different labels. So we have Messi. And this image, right? Messi trying to do his magic, whatever. And then we have the different kinds of tags that we can have with each one. The first one with the cloud, as you can see, one of the tags that we have is football player, soccer, sports. And the other one on device, we have just net, soccer, event, sports. OK? So basically, that's the difference between on-device and cloud. The cloud is just going to give us more accurate information, depending on which kind of things we're going to do. OK, so I don't even know which one are the next slides. But I will keep talking anyway, trying to make some jokes. And if not, you can throw some stuff. It's OK. So I was talking about machine learning and how you can basically use image recognition. To do that, actually, there's a really good collab with Android that you can use the image labeling tags in Google. I will provide, if this is going to work, I will provide the resources later. And one of the things that I like to mention is, if you're into machine learning, data science, or not, and if you're working with a team, start playing around with these features. In my case, I've been using Google Cloud most of the time, and you can easily check, for example, the different categories of an image. And then, in my case, I use a lot cloud functions with Firebase. For example, when I'm trying to upload an image in the storage, right? And then I just do cloud functions, and then I'm trying to do, one of the examples that we have is, also is in the code labs, check if the image that I'm uploading is violent or not, like I put something related with zombies or whatever, and then easily recognize, okay, this is an image that is violent, it has a lot of blood. And then you can actually do something with that image. After cloud functions check that is uploaded, for example, blur the image. And I look like, oh, wow, I recognize that this is a zombie, this is a bloody image, or something like that. But it's super simple to use. It's still here. Yeah. In the example of Firebase predictions, we can basically use analytics and check which kind of users are doing certain things with our app. It's super simple to use. If you already have analytics in your app, then actually you can classify the different users and then combine those ones. You can combine those ones with things like A/B testing and so on. Basically, you can have the users that spend money, the users that not spend money, and do something with those categories. For example, let's say like your product is a game. So if you know already which kind of users or which kind of functionalities are the ones that are spending money, after that you can do actions like, okay, these people are the ones that are spending money, I should take care of them, I can give them, I don't know, a bonus in my game, something like that. So, I don't know if we have that much time, right? How are we? Okay. Okay. So, and then what's going on next? What is the future of machine learning? This is the one that I was trying to mention. With Android P, we're going to have Smart Reply API. This is going to be soon. It was checking in the Google I/O during May, but I have an email, like maybe it's gonna be there soon. They basically, as you already know what happened with Chrome right now, or even Inbox, is suggesting us how to answer. So we can use this API already and use it in our app. So again, we have this available, and we can already start to play. If you don't know anything about creating your custom model or things like that, I really suggest just go and play around with these different features that you have. It's just to import the library, and then it's all up to you in which kind of things you want to do. And this is the second thing. Somebody there who talked about you, right? Model compression? Yeah. Yeah, he was like in advance. He was reading the future. So if you, as I mentioned before, this is going to be next. Right now, it's in beta. And right now, what they are testing in the Google team is related with image. As you can see, image is like the thing for Machine Learning Kit. And in this case, one of the features that are going to be available soon is to provide machine learning model compression. So we don't have to use a third part to compress our model, and it will going to be easier to use in our device. And then here, we have a few resources. First of all, if you don't have any experience with machine learning or things like that, the first thing that I suggest to check is do some code labs. If you go to the code labs, developers.google.com, there's going to be one related with Android, and it's not more about like 20, 25 minutes that you can basically use the machine learning kit. You have to know how to put Firebase into your app first, but super simple. And then you can actually create and do some categories and play around with this code lab. Second one, if you are more into check how to create your own model and everything, TensorFlow Lite has really good resources, and then you can start playing around with your app. And the third one, there are a few videos super interesting in Google Developers page, especially in Firebase. Firebase has a lot of Q&A questions. Soon it's going to be Firebase Summit, so you can actually check the news over there. The machine learning kit compression is going to appear in the Firebase Summit. So all these kind of things are available for you. I have a few more that are not related with the Google products, so feel free to reach out if you're interested. And one of the things that I really like to suggest, first of all, we are developers. I think that we are in a really interesting space right now to be a software developer. I started my career like 10 years before, yeah, so long ago. And at that moment, it was like more related. Can you imagine just playing around QBasic, assembler, whatever? Right now, we have a lot of resources, like in this case, machine learning. So every time that people ask me, are you a software developer? Yes. But wait, I build stuff. That, for me, is something that is related with create things, right? So don't stop being creative. Right now, we have a lot of resources to check. And of course, if we create things, we have the power to be superheroes. So thank you so much. Okay, there.
As for text recognition, are there any limitations, like some exotic languages, like Thai or some Asian signs?
Yeah, right now, well, I think there are like 10 languages. Before it was just, there wasn't even Spanish there. I was super disappointed. But after May, I think there are like 10 new languages. I don't know if Polish is included or another kind of languages, but the languages are the ones that are included. It's not like just the characters. It's about language. So if your language is included, all the characters are going to be there are OK.
I would like to ask about augmented reality apps and image recognition. For example, if a camera targets some kind of object, would it be possible to use, for example, AirCore to place some functionality over this object with image recognition?
Yeah, one of the things is the most user case scenario is AR. So in fact, there is a demo in the Google I/O that the guy is like, OK, recognizing which kind of objects you have. The thing is, like, right now, most of the time are related with games and AR. Another thing that is happening today is when you have different kinds of models of pictures. So in the terms of using camera, I'm not sure what is the second category besides games. So I believe, like in this case, it's all up to us to be more creative and use it more machine learning in different ways. I don't use it with augmented reality. I use it just with image. But yeah, not sure like to give you a specific example about something else that not game like Pokemon or things like that. But yeah.
Right now, the ML kit is better right now, I guess. And could you tell us something about the stability? Because I heard that there are some issues and it is hardly usable at this stage right now.
Yeah, like everything, this is my personal opinion, it's still beta. I mean, it's not like 100%. It's not like, OK, let's use it in production right now. Same thing happened to me with Flutter. I don't know if any of you use Flutter. Any of you here, Flutter? No? Well, I use it most of the time to test and build some stuff related with, I don't know, prototyping or things like that. Same thing, it depends. Like Firebase is super simple too, but if you're going to use big things with product, you have to take care. It's not like something new is great and is also ready and it's going to replace something that is also already tested. So if you're thinking about production, the main one is image recognition is OK. But the other ones, check, because sometimes, especially, it's not so stable in terms of resources. So, yeah, do more like testing and kind of stuff. Yeah. More questions?
I don't think we have more time.
Okay. Okay, sorry. Thank you so much.